Viddal, thank you for joining me on Headstrong.
Thank you for having me on Headstrong.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm just, going through life, continuing to try and build, and just not rest on my laurels right now.
How's recovery going?
Recovery's going well. It's going really well. Obviously, when we found out about the ribs being fractured and how long that can keep me out of the ring wasn't the best news. But I mean, it was easier to stomach that I won and have to deal with it rather than I lost and had to deal with it. But no, I've been using oxygen chamber as well, which has been very helpful. As an assistance, I think I don't like to promote things and make people feel like they can go on a bender and then go in the oxygen chamber and you'll be fine. Like it does require an overall taking care of yourself, and that's just like a bonus. But I do feel like it's helped me and accelerated my progress. So
what's your body like after an injury then? How does it like react? And not even injury as well, like after a fight, what's it like in terms of self-repair?
The next day is just like, you don't want to do nothing.
Describe it to like someone who's never got in a ring before.
So whatever you feel on the day, you feel it, but your adrenaline and your focus is on winning the fight. So you feel it and kind of dismiss it. And then as soon as the fight's done, even when you're in the changing room, depends on your nature of victory, I'd say. Like if you take a beating, but you knock the person out, you're still off that high, you're still like on that vibe, you're not thinking about the pain, but guaranteed no matter how you win, the next day you feel everything. Even the things that you didn't know you was gonna feel, so like your head was gonna be swollen, sore, body's gonna be achy, energy-wise you might feel like you've trained weeks for that fight, you've had the fight, so that next day is after the fight, you're just like, oh, okay, like I actually can feel like a human. I'm not invincible anymore. I don't have to believe I am. I can just absorb all the pain, all the aches and pains that you feel, and all the messages to reply to.
Because they're always positive.
Yeah, because most of them are, from the friends and family are positive, and then you get the reviews of obviously the media and whatnot, but you're kind of just catching up with that.
Yeah, for sure. Now, there's no denying, I suppose, that in your career you've experienced injury somewhat.
Yes.
What are you like tackling that mentally then? What's that like in terms of reacting to that?
Dealing with this injury I dealt with it a lot better than my back injury in 2020. I think it wasn't just the injury at that time. I think there's a lot of other elements as well that played a part in how I deem that injury or how I reflect on that period. So if you asked me specifically just about the pain of it and me being unable to do certain things, that was one thing. But it was also that I wasn't primarily focused on recovery because I was actually trying to focus on getting my life itself back on track. So I think it felt like a double burden. But I've been very grateful and very thankful to have the physio that I have, Harvey. He's my friend as well as he's my physio, so he was the ideal person to say, right, how you feeling? Talk to me about what's happening like mentally, but also you got to do these exercises, you got to do this. So it was easy to accept from him and to get on track with it because we have that relationship rather than me just going to see someone and just getting little feedback and treatment. I don't think it would have hit the same. So dealing with an injury is difficult depending on the extent of it, how long you're going to be out, what stage of your life, your career that you're in. These all play a factor, I believe, rather than the actual effect of what you're going through.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have to talk about it now. Weekend just been Tyson versus Usyk.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Wow. So we were just talking before. You had to first of all watch the whole undercard. You got to be ready for 6, yo.
Yeah.
Did you watch the whole thing first of all?
Literally, I watched it from the start to the end because there was other cruiserweight fights. Of course, I got to keep an eye on because these could be future opponents and stuff. So for me, it was like, great card. Great card. Honestly, a great card. You can put great fights together, but it doesn't mean it's going to be a great card because those people need to perform. And I feel like everyone performed, everyone contributed to what was a historic night. Still feels a bit weird that it was in Saudi.
Yeah.
Because normally fights of that magnitude are gonna be in the States or whatever. But I do feel like even the atmosphere, the venue, it's becoming normal. Like we're expecting the big fights to be there, and yeah, it was crazy. The whole show was crazy. The main event was crazy.
Main event was good. It was a genuinely very good fight.
It was from start to finish.
Yeah, it was. There was always something going on.
Something was always going on. Usyk, the professional that he is, wouldn't let any of Fury's antics affect him. Usyk's game plan was spot on. But what surprised me the most was the big man was on the outskirts of the ring, and the smaller man was in the center, which confused me because I thought that there would be a time where Fury says, "Right, I am bigger than you, so it's time to stand and bang." But he tried to box him, which I think lost him the fight. He still boxed well, but it was just needing that dominance of I'm the heavyweight and you're not. I think if he would have activated that, you would have got the win.
Like we've been hearing that obviously in the contract there is a rematch clause, but people of knowledge in the industry are going, Usyk should just retire. I mean, what more does he have left to prove?
For me, I think based on the complication with the belts and the IBF being relinquished, and as much as there's a rematch clause, what are we rematching for? Do you know what I mean? If I don't have all the belts anymore, you're rematching me to get 3 belts, which means that why am I continuing? Like, he might look at it this way. He might say, if the pay's the same, I'll do it. But for me, it's like I've become undisputed. I have all the belts. You're taking one off me. I have to rematch this guy with 1 less belt. Then everyone's going to tell me I need to fight the guy that has my belt.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So it's kind of a long road. It's kind of like a 3 fights until everyone's like, okay, it's done. I don't know if he has that in him. I feel like he's achieved his lifelong goal of becoming undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. And I don't know if there's a rematch. We also don't know how Tyson's going to take the defeat.
Yeah.
He might go into, a spiral that doesn't allow him to prep properly for a rematch. So there's so many factors.
Okay, if it was you, let's say you're Tyson Fury, obviously all you want is a rematch, right?
Yeah, all you want is a rematch.
And if you're Usyk, what are you doing? If you are?
You have to offer me something that...
Okay, what if I'm coming to you with 50 mil?
It has to be... I don't know how much they got. I don't know how much he got for this one, but whatever he got for this one, you're going to have to really raise the bar from there. Like, you're going to have to raise the bar from there. He's what, 37 years old? So he definitely wants to bow out now. He has every right to. He's done more than enough. So it has to be something life-changing at this point to make me get back in the ring. Because I've already made history. The only thing that I can get now is the most defenses of the undisputed, but they're taking a belt anyway, so it's all about the bread, isn't it? That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, it's literally that.
If you offer me 80 million, 90 million, 100 million to fight, I mean, I've been doing it 22 years anyway, so I might as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I might as well.
Right, let's rewind to growing up. And in Tottenham, that's where you grew up. Yeah. What I want to know is what that relationship was like with boxing, because it wasn't the easiest when you started, was it?
No. So I was born in Hackney, raised in Hackney until I was 8, literally around the corner from here. And I started boxing at home with my dad when I was like 2, 3 years old. 6 years old, went to the gym, loved it, just burning all the excess energy that I had as a kid. And then when I got to, when I was like 8, I was already sparring with people that's like 13, and only when I got older, I'm like, that's crazy. Like, because I always try and put it into school years, and I'm like, how's someone that's in year 4 sparring with a year 8 student or year 7 student? Like, you would never picture it in normal life. But then I was like, I didn't think that at the time. I'm just like, yeah, you're another person. We're getting in the ring, we're punching each other, cool. 11, at this time I moved to Tottenham. So when I win my first national title, I already live in Tottenham. And then, it was weird because boxing didn't have the popularity that it has now.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So it's like when you're in school, when you're saying you're a boxer, my mum's packing me all these healthy meals and stuff. Like you're not getting the credit for it.
Yeah, sure.
It was more so anyone that plays football, like at that age. You know, that's when people go, oh yeah, he's a footballer. He plays for Arsenal.
He's
Juniors.
the striker.
Yeah, he plays for Tottenham Juniors. Like whereas me is like, okay, he does boxing, cool. Probably he can fight. Like great. Do you know what I mean? But it was good. It was good. It was different. I feel like anyone that's in school now that says they're a boxer are gonna get way more. It's gonna add to their childhood way more than it did for me. For me, it's just something I knew I was doing, something I knew I was good at. And I spent a lot of time when I wasn't in school, in training camps, traveling, fighting, tournaments. So I guess it did keep me away from, again, having that spare time to not get up to much good.
Yeah, I mean, you've talked about before that your parents were quite strict.
Yeah,
in your upbringing. Do you think that you know, obviously hindsight's a wonderful thing. That's like they pushing you and making sure that you did get to boxing kept you out of trouble?
Yeah, 100%. Because when I stopped boxing for about 2 years, I was like getting into trouble. So.
What can you tell me? What was the kind of stuff going down?
It's like I was just hanging around with the wrong people.
I get you.
Getting myself in some mix-ups as well with the police and stuff like that. So I was just like, and I didn't even stop boxing for long. So I always believed like you guys are saying, that boxing's gonna keep me out of trouble, but it doesn't. You just want me to box. Like, I didn't feel the correlation between it keeping me out of trouble until I stopped, and I found myself in some serious trouble. And what actually saved me from going to prison or being in jail was the fact that I could say to the judge, like, I've spent these years, representing the country, and this was out of character for me. Like, I do have goals, I do have dreams, and if you give me that opportunity, then you won't regret it. Like, I'm not gonna get in trouble again. And if I didn't have that to say in court, then I definitely would have been in there a couple of years. Been in jail a couple of years. So for me, it really made me appreciate boxing and the fact that being able to say that saved me, and I kept my word. And since I've never been in trouble, and I've gone on to have more successes in the sport. So
yeah, for sure.
It's so cliche, like, boxing saved my
No,
life.
it's not. I don't think. Yeah, but the whole is true though. That's the thing.
It is true, and it is true in many other people's cases, and in my case, it is the truth that boxing plays a major part in keeping me on the right path and getting me where I am today.
So was mental health talked about when you were growing up at all?
Not really. I feel like the mental health wave has begun recently. I don't think it's something that was taken into account, 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
So when did you first become aware of your own mental health? Because you've talked about burnout and loneliness before, but I didn't know if when you were growing up you might have experienced it and not known, or...
Probably like 2015 is when I started feeling like, right, like maybe I need to get some help or talk to someone away from my family and get like professional advice. Like, let me do some research into how the mind works. Why do I end up in certain patterns? When I feel certain things, like, why am I feeling that? How do I deal with it? How do I control these emotions? And I think at 17, you're 18, like, you don't know how to control your emotions. There's so much going on. You're going through a lot of changes. There's things you think you should have that you don't have. You think you know it. You think you know what you're doing, and then you realize that you don't. I think the last time mentally where I felt I didn't have control was 2020. And I know a lot of people felt that way due to the pandemic and the life changes, but mine wasn't that. It was just moving from America back to the UK after I really put everything in place to live in the States, and then just having to flip that on its head. But me making the decision to flip it on its head was saving me mentally, because previously I would have been stubborn and be like, no, I made this decision, I'm sticking to it, but I knew it wasn't helping me. So as much as it was stressful to get back here, I knew that was one of the moves that I had to make imminently to start being on the road to good again, you know. So I feel like mental health is dismissed a lot. And now it's being taken into account. Being a male with mental health, talking about mental health is belittled even more.
It's actually, it's like people say that showing vulnerability is a weakness, and particularly probably in your profession as well, in boxing, people are like, you know, you show any form of weakness, that's a negative thing. When actually, I mean, what you're doing by talking about it is empowering other people. You're kind of showing actually, this is at the end of the day, we're all human beings that experience emotion. That's it on a basic level.
This is it. Like, it's only a weakness if people exploit it, right? Like, it's not a weakness to share your feelings. It's a weakness when people choose to exploit it. And I think, I am in a game where you're supposed to seem invincible. Like I said, nothing can defeat me, nothing can crack the mind, you know, which is true to an extent. But at the same time, I'm like secure enough now where I can say to you, I was having a mental breakdown in 2020, but I'm gonna beat you up on the weekend. And I believe that it's not gonna stop me from doing that. And I've had to have fights since then where I wasn't in the best mental place compared to another fight, but I'll still win. I'm still undefeated. I still win, and I feel like that is where you got to tap into your professionalism, because anyone can have an argument at home with the missus. Their child could be sick. You still have to go into the office if you have a normal job. So I kind of tap into that, and I'm like, well, I'm a professional. This is my job. When I'm out of hours, I'll worry about that again. Me losing here is going to make my out of hours extremely miserable and probably won't help my mental health anymore. So the least I can do to contribute to staying well is win and be happy I'm a winner. And like when you focus on that, it allows you to get the job done, but it's still something that should be tackled, shouldn't be brushed under the carpet because of the win, because that will come back if it's not been dealt with.
So when you've been in a position of kind of mental vulnerability, or when you've not felt quite 100%, what do you do to look after your mental health?
It's weird. I go off the energy of what is around. Some people are religious, so they will say, I look to God. I'm not ultra religious, so I don't think of it like that. I kind of just say, look, I'm going to listen to the universe. Like, what's the universe telling me? So that could be that I need to write music. That might be that I need to be around my cousin. That might be that I need to go to the gym, read something, watch a show that doesn't stress me or makes me happy, watch a movie that makes me happy. So many things. There's so many, and one of those things, like, I can't have a routine to, all right, I feel like this, it means that I need to listen to music. Like, it's at that time that I feel this is what I need right now, this is what's gonna help me right now. But some of the things I've listed are definitely like frequent go-tos in order to help me. Might even be like a long conversation with my parents, or going to someone older, wiser, seeing someone else's situation as well. Like, I might, if I'm going through a hard mental time, I might purposefully watch a show where someone's circumstances are worse than mine, just so I can put into context, wow, like they're still going, not as bad as mine. Maybe I should, acknowledge I'm upset, but brush it a little bit and keep moving.
How important is that ecosystem of support, kind of people that support you in your game particularly? Because actually, yes, when you spend time in camp, you've got your trainers, as you say, your physio, nutritionists, all these amazing people, but it's an individual sport at the end of the day. So it can be isolating. How important is having that network?
Ultra important. One of my mom's favorite things to say is that your quality of life is dependent on your quality of relationships, which is very true. Any athlete, any job, everyone needs someone, and you need a support network. Boxing is no different. As much as it is solo, yes, I'm the one that has to get in the ring and fight. I always say that in between the rounds, it turns into a team sport once again. because you need a cut, man. You can't heal your own face. You can't give yourself your own advice. You can't wipe yourself down with a towel. It's an individual sport, but it's a team sport, because you always need someone on your team to be there and do something for you, even if it's something minimal, like give you water. It requires leaning on someone else, and someone else being in the right mental state to navigate you through that space. So I do look at boxing as an individual sport, but at the same time, it's not. Like, you need the team to align for you to have the individual performance to win.
And when you're in camp, you know, it's ultimately very strict in the sense that nutritionally you need to be on it. You're getting in shape for a fight and stuff. But over the years as well, what's that relationship developed like with alcohol, for example, and social life? Because when you're in camp and you are shutting yourself off, I know that we've got phones, technology, whatever, but you've got that time with people. You want to go for a couple drinks. What's that like now? How do you?
For me, I've been boxing since I was 6, innit? So I feel like I've had to deal with overcoming discipline issues when it was more difficult to, like as a teenager, when you first get your chances at freedom and going out with your mates and stuff like that. Like, I've had to deal with it from then. So now people just know better than to trouble me when I'm in that time. Like, the people that I have around me are not encouraging me to go out, whether that's friends, family, management. Everyone's very aware. Okay, you're in training camp. Do you want to go? You can if you want, but if you don't, like, I understand. No one's like, oh man, why didn't you come to this party? Why didn't you go to this event? Like, it's a matter of, it's here for you.
Sure.
If you want to, and you have a little downtime and you want to spend a little bit of time, then you can. And if you don't, because you're in camp, then we understand, and we understand what the goal is and what the journey is.
Let's look at this time when you were amateur boxing, and then you put that kind of all on pause. You put your career on pause to train, and particularly with KSI, right?
Yes.
Because you were PTing as well.
Yeah.
But what I want to know is how you look at that. Of course, you're going to be thankful for the opportunities that it brought you, but how do you look at the legitimacy of YouTuber boxing?
The legitimacy in what way?
Do you know, for example, in many positives, it's brought new fans, more eyes, potential financial gain. Yeah. But also people are there going, this is not real. This is as in not real, but this is not.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that's saying it's not real, that's not true, because they get knocked out for real. They go for a training camp for real. The pressures are real. Like, it's just that the skill level is not the same as traditional. But there's also some influencer boxers that could defeat a journeyman that is operating in the traditional side of the game. So for me, what was causing the disruption was the influencers calling out the traditional boxers, because it's like, yeah, you're famous, yeah, you can sell out an arena, but like, have some respect for the people that have been putting their life into it, which is fair enough. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's fair enough. And I feel like you have to dive a bit deeper into your IQ to realize these guys are popular and famous because they do what gets attention. Yeah. And if you can just always keep that in your mind, you're not going to take it personally. It shouldn't touch your ego, because you understand that they are trolls. This is part of why they are who they are and where they've got to today. And if you can look at it from that perspective, then you just hear noise and let them do what they're doing.
Yeah, for sure. How do you reflect on that time with KSI?
It's crazy. Like, I think the more the years pass, it's like the more I kind of deep the situation of how big it was and how much it really impacted everyone. Like, impacted my life, his life, the people around, the people involved. Like, there's people that will see me this year, 2024. Bear in mind, I haven't coached him since 2019, and be like, yeah, like, last time I saw you was when you was getting angry at Shannon Briggs. And I'm like, I've achieved a lot myself.
Yeah.
But it goes to show the magnitude of the publicity that come from it. And it did change the game. I do think it changed the boxing game forever. because it just made everything wider spread. Like we said, the eyes, the audience, people's opinions, it definitely changed the sport. And I think it made the traditional game look at how they're approaching, how they can promote, what they should be telling their fighters to do in order to gain some of what the social guys, the KSI, the Jake Pauls, the Logan Pauls, all of them have created.
All the pools.
All the pools, any of the pools, you know what I mean? So it's just like, it's a game changer. It changed boxing for sure.
For sure. Are you still in touch?
Oh yeah.
If he gave you a call being like, do you know what, I'm coming back, would you go? Or you got your focus yourself, you got your goals?
Yeah, like he's still active, he's still fighting, he's still, you know, he went into toughest fight he could ever take, which with Tommy Fury.
Yeah.
But for me, I can't coach, man. I can't coach anymore. Like, it's not the time for me to divert my focus over trying to make sure someone is shining the best they can whilst I'm trying to shine the best that I can. And it's not a game where it's not unforgiving. You don't just lose 2-0 and then play another game next week. Like, you can take some serious damage when you're not on point.
Right, we've talked about it. Paul versus Tyson.
Yeah.
What is that all about?
That threw me off. I can't lie. It threw me off because, you know, there's a lot of this. Jake Paul's the one that aggravates people the most because he talks about Canelo and he talks about this one and that one. And, you know, there was a lot of gossip online about me and him having a fight and where we're ranked near each other and all these sort of things. And I thought, okay, he's going on a traditional path. Like, he was convincing me that he's going on a traditional journey, even though he started on an influencer journey. Then he says he's fighting Mike Tyson, and I'm like, some things they can't resist, innit? Like, it's got all of our attention. We'll all be watching.
It's true.
We'll all be watching it, and yeah, it was just a real curveball. I think he threw a real curveball at everyone, but was still interested to see it. And it's gonna be.
What do you think the outcome of that's gonna be?
Unfortunately, I feel like Tyson's gonna get humiliated.
Really?
That's what I think. I think it's sad to see that a legend is gonna go out this way. I'm not even giving Jake the world of credit for being a great boxer, but at the end of the day, he's fighting a 60-year-old man, and being 60 just to live your life and go up the stairs, you start taking the lift and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So to say that you're going into the ring against someone that's 27, that's mean and doesn't have the respect for you as a legend like that. He's just trying to get you on his record and get as many clips as possible. I think it's going to be quite sad.
Yeah, I mean, talking of getting as many clips as possible, we all know that there's one particular Fury that gets a lot of the attention.
Yes.
Now, do you think that that is acceptable in terms of taking away from actually the purpose of what is going on? I use the example of this because, you know, things like weigh-ins now are ticketed events, another place to make more money. Are these just performances, or do you think it's legitimate, and indeed, is it distracting?
A bit of both. I feel like some people feel the obligation to be an entertainer and give the people their money's worth and get people more interested in the fight through using the press conference to weigh in, which is, again, is a great thing, because you want people to watch your fight. You want more than boxing purists to care that you're fighting. So I feel like that approach makes sense. For me, I never create anything. It might be my downfall, but I don't think, all right, cool, I'm gonna be this character today, and I just go with what I feel. Like, what the energy the person's giving, or if I feel that you're a troll, I'm gonna troll as well. Like, if I feel that you're serious, then I might be serious. I just kind of go off my genuine energy of the moment. But to everyone that uses them as a tool to promote and get people interested in the fight, you can't knock them for it.
The goal is world champ for you, of course.
Yeah.
How do you see your journey shaping out? Injury dependent, of course.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, part of improving your mental health is to not do too much forward thinking about how your journey is going to go. Because the moment a curveball is thrown in and it doesn't go according to what you thought in your head, it's going to affect you more than if you just said, I don't know, but I'm going to get there. You know, like, we got to have a plan. You got to, day to day, you know, how we're going to keep pushing, promoting, training, what opponents we're going to pick. But your opponent that you was training 7 weeks for could pull out the week of the fight. And we've seen on many occasions how that can affect a fighter and their performance because they're sold and locked in on one individual. So I think a large part of protecting the mind is like, I'm gonna have to see what happens. Like I didn't predict I'd break 3 ribs in my last fight, and it happened. And I'm like, okay, so we're still gonna be world champion. We still won the fight, but how does that look? I don't know. I don't know who I'll be fighting against. We don't know if the people that are here now as champions are gonna still be in the weight division. There's just so many variables. So I just really try and tackle the now and keep a small projected plan, but try not too much to say like, by then I gotta have this, by then I gotta have that, because it just might not be the case.
Yeah, I mean, there is so much chat, I've got to say it, about Usyk Chamberlain, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, post-injury,
yeah,
post his fight as well, do you see that in the foreseeable?
The fight can happen, and I feel like the fight will happen at some point. When, I don't know, because if he wins his fight on June the 15th, his focus is going to be fighting for a world title. It's not going to be fighting me. But then, because of where I am in the game and where he is in the game, even if he fights for that world title and loses, the fight with me is still there. The fight is still there. I feel like that is his last big fight. I feel like I'm his last big fight. When that happens depends on his failures and successes, as well as, well, obviously I only predict success for myself, so, you know. But it's dependent on him when that fight happens. But I feel like it has to, because we've got the people to care enough about it. And I'll be ready for it when that day comes, and I'll beat him like how I've always known I would.
Would you ever weight up?
Would I ever go up a weight?
Yeah.
I could see myself going to bridger weight, which is obviously a new weight that's not recognized, but I feel like maybe by the time I step up there, it will have a bit more notability. I can't see myself going to heavyweight. Yeah. I can't see myself going to heavyweight. I might though, you know, if this, what we spoke about at the beginning of the conversation, if it's something life-changing and within my capabilities to be successful doing, then I could go to heavyweight. But with the plan that I have, back to the plans, future thinking, hopefully I don't feel as obligated to take certain risks in the ring, because things on the outside are great as well. So I can tick off my boxes in my boxing career and continue to let the other things flourish, rather than, man, this is all I do, and when this is done, man, what am I gonna do? Better take that risk. Hopefully I feel like by building the infrastructure that I've constantly put a lot of work into, it can save me from having to make risky decisions like that as a fighter, or going on too long, or all that category of thing. Hopefully I'm sheltered from that by investing in everything else on the outside.
Viddal, what does the word headstrong mean to you?
Headstrong can mean stubborn. Yeah, I think main thing that comes to my mind when you say someone's headstrong or being headstrong is being stubborn. Stubborn is a word that I think people have a negative connotation to, but it can be equally as positive. You can tell me I'm gonna fail, and I can be stubborn to tell you I'm gonna succeed and put the work in to prove you wrong and to be right. Stubborn can also be when you should take advice and you're choosing not to heed it, and it ends up being damaging to you. But when I think of headstrong, I do think it's about being stubborn. It's about being focused. It's about having that single, like, I'm locked in to this. I have my beliefs. I have my morals. You ain't gonna break them. That to me is like being headstrong.
Viddal, thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And safe recovery.
That was quite quick and sharp.
Mate, really good, man. Thank you. Happy days. No, it was great, man.
Yeah, it was good.
Thank you, bro.
No,
Appreciate it.
It's good. It's good.